So there's been a lot of discussion recently on whether or not One Piece ends in 4 to 5 years, and I pretty much did a whole video on that talking about SBS 97 and Emu being the final villain, so I'm not going to repeat any of that, but pretty much Oda has been hammering home that the story will end in 4 to 5 years. So in this video, instead of trying to debate if it will end in 4 to 5 years, we're going to look at the rest of the story and where the Straw Hats could go next. Specifically after Wano, where the Straw Hats could go, where they need to go still, and what they could potentially do at the places that they will go. But as always, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. So the first thing we really need to discuss is actually just Wano and how it will conclude. For me personally, I do believe Kaido and Big Mom will both be defeated despite them being two Yonko, and that's a big conclusion to come to, because if you don't think they will be defeated, you have a lot of questions in the air. What's gonna happen to the Straw Hats? What's gonna happen to Wano? What about Big Mom and Kaido? Where are they going next? It just gets really complicated, and I just don't think it makes sense for neither of them to be defeated. Wano's been this ridiculously long storyline that's been building up since Punk Hazard, and really more so foreshadowed since Thriller Bark. A lot of those things are coming back as well. And now we are reaching the climax of that story, which is why Wano is hitting every single chapter. It's possible there's a setback, there's a tragedy, but I don't think the conclusion is they're gonna lose. So ultimately, when Wano ends, I think the Straw Hats will win, and they will have the freedom to go to whatever island they want to next. They won't be tied to any obligations or storylines like, oh, we gotta go here for that and go there for that. It could get back to that old story feel of like exploring to the next island and we have no idea what it is, which in general I feel like would be a nice refreshing break of just seeing the Straw Hats go and explore. Obviously there's still gonna be a bunch of big things happening in the background, but at least for a little bit, give us that Straw Hat adventure feeling back. So where exactly could they go next? It could be anywhere, honestly. Like Long Ring Longland. Who thought that was gonna be an island we go to? Nobody, that's who. So we could easily get one of those little short arcs like Long Ring Longland, where we go to a nice little island, have a fun little arc, have it be a little more Straw Hat centric again, maybe see some new crewmates get interacted with a little more. But beyond that, I do believe Elbaf will be a major arc that will be coming. If you really think about islands that have been foreshadowed and hyped up, it's been Fishman Island, Wano, and Elbaf. Elbaf was introduced way back in Little Garden and was really the first island where we were like, oh, okay, this world is pretty diverse. Like there's real giants in this world. Like Oda could get really crazy with all the things he could do. So it was introduced pretty early on, and not only that, there are a lot of plot points tied to it. So we definitely need to go to Elbaf. There's no way we could skip out on that island, and I think we will spend a lot of time there. Just the design of it alone, I feel like Oda will want to really dive into that fantasy element and that Viking culture. I'm sure he already has plenty of ideas how he wants to draw that world and build that world. But beyond that, let's talk about storylines, and one person that is very heavily tied to Elbaf is Usopp. When he met Dory and Broggy back in Little Garden, he was so inspired by them. As somebody who dreams of becoming a brave warrior of the sea, he was just blown away by Dory and Broggy. The pride and warrior culture that those two showcase really inspired Usopp and really made him want to go to Wano. In fact, that's one of his dreams now, is to go and visit Elbaf. Did I say Wano? I meant Elbaf. But yeah, Elbaf being this Viking themed place with a warrior culture, it's a perfect place for Usopp to get a lot of shine. It's possible he might even accomplish his dream there of becoming a brave warrior of the sea. And I think Usopp getting a lot of focus in Elbaf would follow this pattern that Oda has been doing of getting more shine for the East Blue crew. So we had Sanji getting a lot of shine on Whole Cake Island, and now Zoro in Wano, and Elbaf would be for Usopp. But Usopp isn't the only person that's heavily tied to Elbaf. There is also Big Mom. Now I know I said she's gonna be defeated after Wano. I think it's possible she follows them to Elbaf, but it's not really necessary. But either way, I do believe that storyline of Big Mom previously being in Elbaf and just being a menace, that will kind of be brought back into the story. And also Lola and Prince Loki's failed marriage, I wonder if that's gonna tie back in. Maybe Capone will make a reappearance in Elbaf. Perhaps that's why he's been getting so much shine in a cover story. But yeah, there's a lot of storylines connected to Elbaf. And another one is Harudin. He's trying to restart the new giant warrior pirates, and the only way for him to do that is to recruit more giant warrior pirates. So it's possible we see him make an appearance in Elbaf, and that's a nice interesting way to slowly bring back a few crews of the Grand Fleet instead of having them all show up, and that way you can save them for that one final big war. Black Maria, maybe there's some Elbaf connection there. I know she's not like as tall as the regular giants. She's only about 8 meters, around that Big Mom height. Meanwhile, while regular giants are about 15 meters, the shortest ones are like 12. But it's possible she could be a half-breed, who knows? I might do a video on her. I also think Luffy is clearly gaining allies as he progresses along this story, and while after Wano he will have a strong force of samurai backing him, getting the giants to be his allies, now that's another level. So for that final war against the world government, having the giants on his side will definitely help. But yeah, I do think the Straw Hats have to go to Elbaf, and it will serve as an important arc in the story. Now the next island I'm gonna talk about is actually the most interesting to me, and that is Lodestar. It's been so briefly mentioned, but I also think it's a very important island. Lodestar is essentially the island we thought was Laugh Tale for pretty much most of the story. Initially, when we met Crocus, he was kind of talking about just follow these log post lines and eventually you'll reach the end and that will be Laugh Tale. But it turns out that's not the case. That last island is actually Lodestar. And to get to Laugh Tale, as Inuarashi explained, you have to get the 4 road poneglyphs and they will map out points. Eventually all those points lead to one island, which is Laugh Tale. And that does make sense, because I was wondering, it's like, why wasn't anybody else able to reach Laugh Tale? Like, couldn't they just follow the log poses? But no, it turns out you have to get these road poneglyphs, which are either very well hidden, completely unknown, or guarded by Yonko. But Lodestar still does exist as sort of a final island, and you might be thinking that the Straw Hats don't need to go there because they've kind of like fell off of that path. Ever since Punk Hazard, they started just essentially traveling by Beaver Card instead of the log pose. So to even really go back on the path towards Lodestar, they would essentially, I guess, have to go back to the island after Punk Hazard. That would definitely eat up some time, and I'm not sure that will really happen. Maybe it's something that kind of gets montaged through, or something convenient will pop up. I don't think it could be as convenient as like, oh, it's actually like Wano is like the next island after Punk Hazard, and guess what? What's next? Elbaf. That would be a little too convenient, which is why I do think there will be like a, you know, break island essentially, where you just go to this other island, resync the log post, and then continue on from there. Now you might be saying they don't even need to do that because they have a new mission of reaching Laugh Tale, and all they really have to do next is find the road poneglyph. So they could easily get a hint about the road poneglyph being in Elbaf, or get a Beaver Card to Elbaf and just head there next. And skipping Lodestar altogether would definitely speed up the timeline and definitely fit that 4 to 5 year range that Oda is aiming for. At the same time, looking back to when the road poneglyphs were explained, Nami did ask about the path they were following. She pointed out like, hey guys, we're straying off the log pose path, is that okay? And Inuarashi went on to explain like, hey, you don't need to go to that island, but if it's something you're interested in, you could still go. And he kind of explained like, you don't need to go there anymore because you have this knowledge about the road poneglyphs. But he did mention on that final island, you kind of come to this realization that it's not the actual final island and there's more to learn about the road poneglyphs and the Void Century. And that was essentially confirmed when we found out about Roger reaching that island and him kind of realizing that there was more to this world. The log poses weren't sinking, they were just going all over the place. And he found out something that helped him realize that the poneglyphs had more to do with finding that last island, and that's why he recruited Odin. And again, they don't need that information because they already found out about the road poneglyphs. But at the same time, Inuarashi did tell Nami, you're not on the wrong path, you could continue following on your path. And a more important thing is he pointed out that Crocus was the one that told him to follow this path, and he was on the Roger Pirates that made it to Lodestar, so maybe he knows something else more. Like, I don't see why Crocus would really lie to them like that. Maybe he just didn't know them as well, but I think he liked them enough to kind of give him that information. Maybe he didn't have to tell him about the road poneglyphs, but if Lodestar was actually just useless, he could have just been like, hey, that's not actually the final island. So that's one of the reasons why I think it would make sense for them to continue on this path and go to Lodestar. Plus, Luffy is all about adventure. Although he wants to become the Pirate King, he's a big process guy. I don't see him wanting to skip this step and leave an island unexplored. Like, if after Wano, Nami's like, hey Luffy, where do you want to go? We could just start looking for the road poneglyphs, or just follow this path and eventually lead to Lodestar and we'll, you know, figure something out. He'll definitely say, let's keep exploring these islands and reach Lodestar. On top of that, I believe Lodestar will be the arc of focus for Nami. I think Morge made a video on this a while back saying how Laugh Tale will be the focus arc for Nami, but I actually think it's different. I think Lodestar makes more sense. We talked about how Luffy wants to explore everything, but Nami wants to draw a world map. I can't imagine she would want to skip out on that island. There's also a mystery to the island of Lodestar as well, because it is still hard to reach. The only person we know that made it to that island are the Roger Pirates, and they were the first people to do it. And there's no road poneglyphs involved in reaching that island, so what makes it so hard to get? And I'm guessing that has to do with navigation. Maybe there's some crazy storms there and you have to sail through some crazy stuff to make it there, and that's where Nami could come in and really shine. And if you think about the log pose moments, getting the new log pose in a new world, first time getting it when we entered the Grand Line, Nami's always been the focal point when those moments were introduced because she's the Navigator. So like getting to that island could be a big moment for Nami, and if there are hints about the Void Sentry and poneglyphs, Robin will play a big role as well. We don't have to spend a ton of time on that island if you're worried about the timeline, but I do think we need to visit it, and it has a lot of potential to spotlight Nami and give some information to Robin, and it would be a nice island to set up Laugh Tale. Speaking of which, Laugh Tale, obviously an island we have to reach. I don't think I really need to go in depth with it. The main question for Laugh Tale is, will they get there before Blackbeard? And that is a topic for another video. Another island which I think it's possible for the Straw Hats to go to is Sphinx Island. You might think that doesn't make sense at all, but Marco is in Wano right now, so he's leaving Sphinx Island unprotected, and I don't think it's gonna be as simple as, oh, don't worry, Weevil is fighting Marines, so we don't have to worry about that. I guess that's possible, but either way, I do think we have to get Marco more involved into the main story, because there is the storyline of Weevil. Like, Oda introduced him for a reason. I think that has to tie back in somehow. Like, he can't just be this super strong bumbling idiot that's just roaming around for the rest of the story and has no effect. So like after Wano, if Marco isn't dead, I don't think it's just gonna be like, oh, okay, glad I could be of help, you know, I'm gonna go back to Sphinx Island now, call me if you need me. So I do think Marco has to get more involved with this story along with the other Whitebeard pirates, because they really haven't gotten that much shine and development. And with them being the crew that Ace was on, I think there's a lot of story there to explore. We don't have to spend a ton of time with it, but I think after Wano, we could possibly go to another Whitebeard territory. It doesn't have to be Sphinx Island, but it's possible Marco could be traveling with the Straw Hats for a little bit. The next thing I want to talk about isn't really an island, but it's something we have to address, and that is the Fourth Road Poneglyph. It's something Luffy has to get, so it's something he's gonna have to look for. Now, you could set it up as Blackbeard somehow found it, and it's something he's going after right now, and that way it sets up this final clash between Luffy and Blackbeard. I do also like the idea that perhaps Whitebeard had it, because the last time we saw it was in Fishman Island, and that's another way to bring the Whitebeard pirates into the story and tie them into the main story. So those are my two favorite options. It's possible Shanks also has it. I feel like if Shanks had it, the people would know, like, oh, okay, each Yonko essentially has one. But yeah, where we go, the Fourth Road Poneglyph definitely has a factor in that. And while we're talking about a Yonko, I want to quickly talk about Blackbeard, because the general thought is we're either gonna fight the Blackbeard pirates on Laugh Tale or like on the way to Laugh Tale. I feel like Pirate Island could be a nice place to fight, and there's a lot of history to that island as well. It's not only Blackbeard's home base right now, but it was also the Rocks Pirates' home base, and it was the place that the Davy Back fight originated from. So just going on that island, I'm sure we'll get a lot of information on Blackbeard, the Rocks Pirates, and maybe an actual explanation of what the real Davy Back fight was. And you might think it wouldn't be like Luffy to go and straight up attack Blackbeard, but it would be kind of a nice reversal. This whole story, it's really been Blackbeard taking action, going one step ahead. To see that reverse and Luffy taking the battle to him, that would be really dope in my opinion. But that's really all it is. It's just a cool idea. I'm not really sure we will go there. I actually don't think it's that likely, but if we do, it would be cool. And I want to talk about Endgame a little bit, and by Endgame, I don't mean Laugh Tale, I mean Marijois. If you saw my video on why Emu will be the last villain, you know I'm fully on board with this last final war being against the world government. And the place for that final battle would be Marijois. And of course, Marijois in itself will have a lot of secrets and there's a lot to explore there, but just by setting up Marijois as the final destination, you could kind of map out where they will go on the way there as well. Like New Marineford is a place I feel like the Straw Hats have to go if they're going to Marijois. It'll kind of serve as a preliminary fortress in a way. You could have a lot of fights set up there, Sword could come back into play and maybe form a rebellion, and a lot of the Marines we've known, Kobe, Helmeppo, Smoker, Fujitora, all those guys will get a lot more shine. And of course, you could set up that fight between Luffy and Akainu. Fishman Island is also right in that area, and it could be possible that Luffy goes there before, during, or even after the final war. Madame Charlie's vision of Luffy destroying Fishman Island pretty much confirms that we have to go back to Fishman Island, and the main purpose of that will probably be Luffy destroying Fishman Island so the fishmen are allowed to live on the surface in the future. But yeah, I do think that could be mapped out that way, where Marijois is that destination for the war. Before that, you go to Marineford, fight some Marines, and then maybe during the war or after the war, you destroy Fishman Island as well. But speaking of Marijois, there is another mysterious island that was once inhabited by celestial dragons, and that of course is God Valley. Now, as far as we know, that island no longer exists. So as of right now, we can't even go there, but you know, it could be one of those things where the Straw Hats discover the remnants of it. Either way, we'll definitely hopefully get more information on it and what happened there. They'll tie in a lot with the Void Sentry and the Celestial Dragons and also Garp's backstory. The Rocks and Roger Pirates were involved as well, so there's more story elements. It's probably not likely that it still exists and it's some place that the Straw Hats will find, but it's definitely a place that will come to light in the future. And now to just wrap things up, I want to quickly go through places that I think would be cool to go but probably won't happen. Impel Down is actually one of them, and now you might be thinking, why the hell would they go to Impel Down? It's just a prison, there's no reason for the Straw Hats to go there. But one thing that always gets brought up whenever I make a new Straw Hat video or a Straw Hat Grand Fleet video, people always bring up Bon Clay. And my response is, the man is locked up in Impel Down right now, so it's kind of hard for him to join in any capacity. But that did get me thinking, like, is Bon Clay just gonna rot in jail for the rest of his life? Like, I would understand if he died, right? It would have been a very great, impactful sacrifice for him. But he's still alive. He's kind of living it up out there in level 5.5. But for Bon Clay just to rot in jail for the rest of his life, that's kind of depressing. Maybe somehow Luffy takes over the world government and like frees Bon Clay as his only order. But it would be neat to kind of go back to Impel Down and see the other Straw Hats interact there. But probably not gonna happen. Another element in the One Piece world that's been very unexplored are the Sky Islands. We pretty much just got Skypiea and that's it. Nami did land on a Sky Island during the time skip, but you know, we didn't spend much time there at all. I would love to go and explore more of the Sky Islands, but the story just doesn't really have room for it. It could almost be a spin-off series in a way. And it could definitely be something that appears in like the epilogue kind of thing while Nami is going around drawing the world map and she's going up to the Sky Islands now and doing that. So hopefully we'll get some sort of more exploration with the Sky Islands. Another element that is even more unexplored are the moons. And by moons, I mean multiple moons, because as we saw, there are multiple moons in the One Piece world. And also, as we saw in Nell's cover story, there's aliens out there. It would be so sick if we actually went out to space and explored there. Imagine like a Straw Hat space exploration arc, that would be amazing. But of course, at the same time, if we're being realistic, that whole world just doesn't even feel connected to the main story. Like all exploration of that came in a cover story. Maybe it's possible if Nell returns to the story we found out more about it, but I'm not banking on space exploration. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I didn't really list any repeat islands besides Fishman Island. I do think in an epilogue type of thing, we'll see Luffy and his crew revisit some of those islands, Alabasta, Dressrosa, to kind of visit their friends, but it's not going to be focal points as we continue on to the story. But what about you guys? Where do you guys think the Straw Hats will go after Wano? Where do they need to go and what they could do on those islands? Let me know in the comments below. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please hit that like button. Helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to keep up to date with this channel, you gotta hit that subscribe button. By the time this video goes up, the King Pirates crew will be over 5,550 members. If you want to interact with your fellow crewmates, the King Pirates Discord is linked in the description below. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. I'm DKing4. Got a video for you right there, playlist for you right there, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.